primarily, the North Pole had yet to be reached. Land-based and ship-based attempts, nearly all using teams of sled dogs, had all come up short, always after terrible misery and sometimes at the cost of lost limbs and lives. In the span of 3 decades, 3 men, American Walter Wellman, Norwegian Roald Amundsen, and Italian Umberto Nobile, would try to fill in that blank spot on the map at the top of the world, and they would do so not by the traditional, long-tried and always failed dogsled method, but by airship. Realm of Ice and Sky is a serial history of the aerial explorations to reach the summit of the Earth. It is not the history of a single voyage, but rather is a history of a single type of voyage, airborne in experimental, lighter-than-air flying machines called airships or dirigibles. The aerial explorers would innovate and experiment and risk their own lives and the lives of their crews in a dangerous, deadly quest to be the first to fly to the North Pole. There would be joy and sorrow, tragedy and suffering. There would be disaster. There would be triumph. Prologue. Aerial navigation will solve the mystery of the North Pole and the frozen ocean. Walter Wellman, 1893. Camp Wellman, Danes Island, Danskia, Northwest Spitsbergen, September 2nd, 1907. Whitecaps lashed against the icy shoreline of Norway's Smeerenberg Sound. Beyond the roiling bay, knobby peaks thrust from the sea up to 4,000 feet, their craggy faces lined with snow. Aquamarine icebergs, some carved into archways and tunnels, some like spired castles, drifted shoreward, driven by the wind. In the mountain valleys, great glaciers groaned and rumbled, cascading to the sea, calving into the water with echoing roars. The dim light of early morning revealed an enormous oblong form rising from the bay like an ominous gray cloud, but it was nothing that came from land or sea. It was a man-made thing, a giant gas-filled balloon emerging from a massive wooden hangar, guided out by 36 men clinging to taut drag lines and cables. It was the airship America, a spherical 185-foot-long, 50-foot-wide dirigible inflated with 274,000 cubic feet of highly flammable hydrogen, powered by a single sputtering 750-pound, 75-horsepower gasoline engine. In the airship's gondola rode 3 men, the visionary expedition leader Walter Wellman, engineer Melvin Vanneman, and navigator Felix Riesenberg. They were attempting something perilous and untried in history, to fly a motorized airship to the North Pole and to somehow, with luck, return alive. The men, all Americans, were exhilarated by the prospect of being first to the North Pole, an achievement promising fame, national pride, wealth, and polar immortality. But they were fearful, for the 1,500-mile flight would be America's maiden voyage. The airship was untested. Some in the press had called the attempt a suicide mission, while others lauded the men for their bravery. What everyone knew for certain, however, including the 3 men aboard the America, was that their chances of dying on the journey were likely greater than their chances of surviving it. Though it was dangerously late in the season to strike out toward the North Pole, the winds were the most favorable they'd been in a month, blowing consistently from the south. Should anything go wrong, and as Walter Wellman knew firsthand from his previous over-ice sledge attempts at the North's Holy Grail, something always went wrong, he and his crew and dogs would be marooned on moving sea ice with the long night of polar winter approaching. In the coming months of near-total darkness, they'd be forced to winter over on the grinding pack ice, a terrifying prospect. Few polar explorers had